Welcome. I am Eric with Mother.com, and I greet you, beloveds, in the love and in the light of the one infinite creator. So in today's video, let's take a look here. We are seeing that the Nasdaq for October 28th is recording a fresh all-time intraday high. And we can see here that Bitcoin is moving higher at 61. Dogecoin is trying to break out. Essentially, the cryptos are having a big up day. All right, so let's go to the chart and let me discuss what I see here. And this is the total crypto market cap index as furnished by TradingView.com. All right, so let's go to the monthly. Let's begin with the power. One of the reasons, if not the main reason, why the cryptos are moving is because of the power of RSI 69.1, just as they did in 2017. This is 2017 right there. And we see another move above 69.1, which was in November of 2020. So in each instant, we see that prices really took off for the cryptos in 2017 and late 2020. Another expansive move in the cryptos, and in the here and now we can see that the monthly RSI is back above that magic number of RSI 69.1, and as long as the cryptos as a group are above this number, we have to be open to the probability vortex that these things could actually see another big run. As long as the RSI is above 69.1, we have to respect the potential for an explosive continuous move. Now, having said all that, let's go to the weekly. And on the weekly, I want to draw a trend line here that I believe is what the market is in focus, or what the market is focusing on at the current moment. Now, to understand this, I'm going to explain another concept here as a way of drawing RSI trend lines. And it is this area right here. Now, traditionally, you'd expect a trend line to come from the top there and connecting, for example, with this top right there. Let's just say that as an example. And that is correct. There's a breakout here. This is late 2020 right there. You can't see this, but this here is November, December of 2017. The actual top here comes in January of 2018. That corresponds with this lower peak. So yes, you can draw the trend line as I have drawn it, connecting the top all the way down, extending it out. You'll notice that the market is very aware because, as I mentioned, there was a breakout right there, which is this period, a very nice entry. And we can see that the market has bounced on this line, which is this support here. Actually, let me take that back. That is not correct. Let me draw that again. Let's do that again. I'm going to go from the top, and I'm going to extending out that way. And so the lines that I was explaining here, the bounces, actually correspond with the continuous move here and here. Once we break through that, of course, we have a reaction or move down in the entire crypto landscape. And what I'm getting at here is we've gone to the line and tagged it with uniform activity for that weekly closing high. By the way, I should have mentioned that this is a weekly chart. So this is weekly data. And what I'm saying here is as the cryptos are going higher, there is a probability that this could end up being another rejection point week to week. Today being a Thursday, so week to week, if this turns into another resistance on a weekly time frame, it suggests to me that the cryptos are trapping those who are going long before a reversal lower. Hope that makes sense. Now, since we have a good opportunity here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to focus a little bit to this area here to explain another way to draw the same trend line with similar results. All right, so I'm going to explain this, I might have to zoom into that area. So let me zoom in. All right, so this is now 2000 and so I know you can't see it, but I'm just letting you know that this period here is in late 2017, and this right here is January of 2018. All right, so what I'm saying is the actual high on a weekly closing basis is right there, corresponding with this RSI peak. So the way I draw trend lines, I like to correspond the price high and the RSI high if that RSI high is above 69.1. In other words, yes, I can draw the trend line from here, but this trend line corresponds with that weekly high. Because the RSI is still above 69.1, I would rather use this trend line as a nuance on how to draw trend lines corresponding with a major top. So in my opinion, what I'm saying is it is more reliable sometimes to draw your trend line from the major top, or if you're drawing trend lines from lower prices, it is the actual low on price level and the corresponding RSI level is the one that gives you a better trend line. Hope that makes sense. In other words, the true trend line should begin from here, in my opinion, or at least that's one way of doing it, because it corresponds to the actual high. All right, so we're going to draw that trend line again. Let's do the trend line again. So this is the current weekly view, and I'm going to draw that trend line now with the same results, by the way. Take it from here. Whoops. From here, connecting that top, and I'm going to extend it out. And you see we get the same results. That crypto bulls need to watch this line here on a week-to-week basis, because irrespective of the current move in the entire crypto landscape, there's a probability week to week that this could actually turn into resistance. The way to correct this, and if the bulls are truly going to push the cryptos, they need to move above this black line, and the weekly RSI for the entire crypto landscape, as calculated by this index, the total market cap for the cryptos, the RSI on the weekly would also have to join the monthly by moving above 69.1. So this could be a trap if this black line ends up offering uniform activity rejection. Just keep that in mind also. If you are bullish, you don't want to see a rejection here around that level, because that would be another RSI 69.1 uniform activity rejection. Now also we can see that from this area we can use the uniformity concept, which is my own original way of understanding possibilities in the market. There is a break here. This break brings the cryptos off the highs of early 2021. We take that break point, draw a line from there, and should give us that line. The market has already responded to this once before, so we can say and claim that the market is aware that this could be resistance. To correct this again, the weekly RSI, which is this chart, would need to stay above RSI 69.1 to clear this red line, which is the uniformity resistance line, which brings me to the 4-hourly next. So on the 4-hourly, the reason for this video started when I looked at this 4-hourly chart and I could see that there is a trend line, the most simple trend line connecting the recent tops for the cryptos on the 4-hourly. This top this couple of resistance touches there, and now here we are trading. And this is a big question mark, because as the cryptos are inviting more and more buying as they move higher, I can see that this could actually be a trap if this is confirmed as resistance. Again, there's a simple way to cure this, and because of the power of the monthly RSI, it won't take much to clear this topside resistance line. So it is either gonna clear that line. I'm gonna draw the line again. It is either gonna clear this line so it can advance beyond current levels, or it might be setting the stage for weekly resistance by being rejected here and pointing down, and that's gonna lead to a substantial sell-off in the cryptos. Now here's another way of looking at this. I'm gonna take this trend line here, and I'm using this just to understand what's going on here. There's no rule as to why I should use this, but I can see the market did respond well for this index. Big move there, and that was sometime at the beginning of October. So this move here is the beginning of October, and the cryptos have generally reacted very well since that time period. I'm going to take that RSI level where the market has responded positively, and I'm going to extend it as such. Now, I would encourage you to just pause the video and see whether this line, this black line, gives you tradable instances. And I'm just going to highlight some. An entry here, a break here recently. It's not the strongest buy-sell line, but what I'm getting at is even in the here and now, it is coming back to test that same line. So if the cryptos are going to move higher, we can see the need for them to clear the two lines that I've already drawn on this chart so they can have the opportunity to move higher. These lines have to be cleared. Otherwise, resistance on the red and the black line means that the next meaningful direction is definitely down. Now, allow me to draw another trend line connecting this top. Remember, this is the 4 hourly. Every bar represents 4 hours of trading. I'm going to connect it to this double bottom and this little blip of a low. So let me draw that trend line. I'm going to draw it as such. And the one thing that I do see is a couple of things here. Is number one, it connects nicely with this intersection with the black line. So let me draw that black line right there, confirming that this here, this area is an area for decision making. Above this area, cryptos move higher. Resistance on this area with uniform activity, expect the cryptos to move lower. And keep in mind that as they move lower, if they move lower, movement back below RSI 50 is going to lead to a big 4 hourly candle down. Now, to simplify this, let's just keep it simple. What I'm seeing here is for crypto traders, this line should be short-term guidance. Above the line, and we can say resistance has been cleared, and boy, that monthly chart is going to continue staying strong. Otherwise, short-term, there's a reason for some resistance here, and a pullback would make sense if this is confirmed as resistance. So again, here's a snapshot of the market, October 28th. And let's keep in mind, as the cryptos are moving higher, they are basically piggy banking or riding the bull market in the stock market. The stock market, essentially, we see the Dow, S&P 500, and Nasdaq this week record fresh all-time intraday highs, including fresh all-time daily closing highs. So the crypto market is definitely responding to what is going on in the general stock market landscape. Now, the S&P 500 has this line connecting recent daily RSI highs. So as we've seen for the 4 hourly for the total crypto market, you would need to clear this line to the upside if the cryptos are going to move higher. if the US stocks are going to move higher. Otherwise, we can see here, day to day, S&P 500 could actually roll over around here and start pointing down. That's one view. Now, the other view is a simple view that corresponds to a recent break, which is this break right here. Of course, this break did bring the S&P 500 lower. And could also end up being resistance in the here and now. Of course, to correct this, especially since the S&P 500 is also above RSI 69.1, it would only need to clear this level so it can continue advancing higher. Otherwise, if day to day we see the S&P 500 rolling over around here and pointing down, that would tell us that there is a short-term need for the market to pull back, and we will reassess the situation with a pullback whenever the S&P 500, when it comes back to test this 50-day moving average, or when it comes back to test this 200-day moving average. But around here, resistance would make sense, and we can see the same type of resistance to be consistent with the entire crypto landscape, because on the 4-hourly for the S&P 500, yet again, we are seeing that the top side line is being tested on the 4-hourly. And also, to match up with the daily chart, we can see that this line right here, where we see a recent pullback for the S&P 500, for stocks in general, we can see that this could also be a potential resistance area for the entire stock market landscape. Of course, as I've been saying in all of these charts, it won't take much to clear this area and we see a continued sharp move higher for the entire US markets and potentially for related global markets. Otherwise, a resistance on this area here, where the RSI is, again, as I always point out, conveniently around that RSI 61.8, and as I've been teaching, discussing, pointing, highlighting, that whenever you see a market make an improvement in prices, but the RSI fails to go above the 61.8 threshold, chances are you're setting the stage for a pullback. I apologize for this busy chart, but it is the Nasdaq Weekly. We can gauge the market strength as long as the Nasdaq is holding above 15,363.52, which is the weekly closing high from right there, which was the weekly closing high in August. As long as the market is above this number, then the Nasdaq is surely breaking out and could see higher prices. Similarly, for the Dow would need to continue holding above 35,515.38, which is the weekly closing high right there, again from August. Now, on the Dow, interestingly enough, we can see that this week, this topside resistance line could just be setting the stage for resistance week to week. So that's a line to watch. And by the way, these are just the charts that are available to you under or via the link called charts in the member section of muade.com. So continue watching this area here where the Dow could be staging topside RSI resistance. I'm going to draw it one more time, which is this topside line. Could end up being resistance, we shall see week to week, or the Dow could actually clear this line week to week to push this current breakout higher. Now, if the price breakout fails on the weekly for the Dow, be on the lookout for market participants to be looking for exits. The S&P 500 is also staging a nice breakout here. In fact, This is now the second week above the breakout level of 45.35.43. As long as the S&P 500 is above this number, bulls can be excited for the potential for higher prices. Now, anything bringing the market below this price, in other words, a failed breakout, would set the stage for some selling for sure. Keep in mind, on the monthly, the Nasdaq is breaking out on the monthly chart also. And that price level for the Nasdaq to hold and sustain above from a monthly breakout perspective is 15,259.24. Right now, the Nasdaq is breaking out on the monthly. Oh, by the way, the RSI continues to be very strong. This is a monthly chart going back to 09. Oh, and by the way, interestingly enough, if I take the lows of the RSI in 09, touching the lows of 2016 there, and this little blip right there, we get an interesting trend line that looks like this. And you can see that the market somehow is aware of this trend line and bounced on this trend line this month. So as long as we are above the black line, and more importantly, as long as the Nasdaq is above 69.1, expect to continue seeing markets just climbing, pulling back slightly, but ultimately continuing with this amazing bull market run as long as the RSI continues to hold above 69.1. The Dow is also breaking out. So let me give you that number. And for the Dow, the breakout level on the monthly chart, this is 5-year monthly chart. And so the number there is 35360.73. So as long as we are above this number, this is a fresh monthly breakout after the needed minimum requirements of a 1-month rest. In other words, this market can actually now substantially move higher because it has rested for at least 1 month. As long as the Dow is above this number, this market could take off and continue recording improved all-time highs. Remember, for this to be truly a market as far as the Dow is concerned that is strong, the RSI needs to move back above 69.1. Right now trading at about 68.9. Very close. So the monthly RSI would need to push above this threshold if bulls are to continue enjoying the current run. Now, as we come close to the end of the month, resistance and a rejection at the 69.1 threshold actually sets the stage for the exact opposite, which is a market primed for lower prices. So month to month, that's another consideration. But for us to really appreciate the potential for downside action, the Dow would have to give up the breakout above 35,360.73. In other words, let's say you wanted to short the market, sell the market, be bearish, close positions, be defensive, whatever it takes, this number would have to be breached on the way down, signifying the potential that the market, having failed to hold above 360, and the RSI, more importantly, if it cannot hold, if it starts rolling over around this threshold month to month, that would set the stage for a market due for a correction. And of course, we don't know that the correction is going to be serious or not. It's really going to be dependent on what happens when it comes to test these moving averages. We can take the 8-week moving average as a where to gauge for lower or bounce potential, or we can eventually use the 21-week moving average to gauge whether the market can bounce or break. Ultimately, we don't know what's going to happen if it ever goes back to test those moving averages. So we have to take things moment by moment. The S&P 500 is looking absolutely beautiful. The RSI back above that 69.1 threshold. Very beautiful. Very powerful. And the monthly price breakout continues to be successful. And this might explain why we are trading at fresh all-time highs, with the probability for more improved all-time high levels, as long as we are holding the price breakout, as long as the monthly is above 69.1, and more so if the S&P 500 can continue holding above 4522.68, which is the monthly closing high from the month of August. To change this and to turn it bearish, the RSI would have to break below this price. And no, the price would have to break below this breakout level, and the RSI would have to move back below 69.1. By the way, the Canadian market also continues to hold above the monthly closing high from the month of August. So this is just like the S&P 500, the RSI for the TSX also back above that 69.1 threshold. So this continues to look good. Take a look at the weekly here. We can see the weekly. The breakout is still intact. The numbers are going to be in the description of the video or on the charts via the charts link. So that's still a good breakout. And we can see the RSI doing its best to reclaim the 69.1 threshold on the weekly. Now, one thing I wanted to point out here is I see the possibility, just as we saw with the total crypto market, this recent break could end up being a test week to week. There's a pullback there. So we take that break point, draw our uniformity line, and this could end up being resistance if in the new week or weeks the market shows uniform activity rejection back below this number and back below this red line. So this could actually be a trap, but to keep it simple, we can use the breakout level of 20,821.43 as the line on the sand. Above this price, things are good. Bulls should be encouraged about the probability for higher prices. And if the market rolls over back below this price, that could set the stage for a failed breakout and for things to trend lower. Which brings me to the Nifty. The Indian market spent the last couple of months with its RSI above 69.1. Market was strong there, and we are seeing a little bit of a pullback. Not the worst move lower, but a pullback nonetheless. And we can see on the daily, could be it is coming back to test this RSI 50 area. If it can bounce back above the 50-day moving 50 RSI level, just like it did here, it could set the stage for a recovery move higher. We shall see. Don't forget, the reason why I'm saying that let's lean on the possibility of a bounce is because the RSI still continues to be very strong, trading close to 80. So the RSI is still very strong, and a recovery would still make sense. This week, we are seeing crude oil move slightly lower, not the biggest drop, but crude oil is seeing a little bit of a pullback, tiny pullback. If we take a look at the XLE, which I'm going to use to try and gauge where the energy space is going, is I see this break line. Take this trend break right there, and from there we can generate a uniformity line. I'll do it like that. Couple of instances where we've touched this and we saw pullbacks on a week-to-week basis, and we seem to be doing something similar here. To correct this, you'd want to see it stay, the RSI stay above the red line. Otherwise, continued resistance and coiling back below the line sets the stage for a week-to-week continued push lower for the energy space, crude oil also. Now, my biggest issue with this area of the market is this monthly chart. I've talked about this for many months. This just doesn't look to me like to be a strong market because I see the visual probability of a coil back below this line. And another way to look at this is take the lows from 09. There's a trend line break here off the highs of 2014 for the XLE. Now, of course, we can see how it becomes relevant in the current market if we extend a line or horizontal line or a uniformity line from that break point there. So we are using the chart itself to tell us how to view this. Take that information and draw a trend line as such. Now, this is not my opinion, but the market seems to have, over the last, let's call it how many years? 6 years, been coming back to this area and tagging resistance. And even here could be another instant of resistance. So if the energy space, if crude oil is to move higher, we need to see evidence by moving above both of these lines. But for some reason, I lean towards the possibility of resistance on the two lines and pointing down, which in other words could be setting the stage for a recovery downwards or a push downwards in the energy space. By the way, one other observation. Yes, the energy space has had a nice run over the last couple of months. There's no doubt about that. Nice recovery of the 2020 lows, a nice recovery in 2021. But even with that recovery, relative to the S&P 500, the energy space is still underperforming the S&P 500. You know, I have to say, even the financial sector, the XLF, yes, it is trading higher for sure, moving higher. But again, this is a long-term monthly chart from 09. If you compare this with the S&P 500, you can see that the financial space is generally not the strongest part of the market. I would say that's not strength. That's why, yes, they're moving higher, but are they in the leadership? No. All right. In conclusion, I'm going to go full circle and go back and end this video by taking a look at the cryptos one more time. So remember what I was discussing at the beginning of the video was the 4-hourly for the total crypto market. And while I was recording the video, Dogecoin did make a fresh intraday high, so doing its best to break out. Remember, this is the 4-hourly for the total crypto market cap, quote unquote index, and we are still contending with this topside line, as I mentioned, and there were some other lines that I had drawn that do pose a question as to whether the cryptos have enough space, enough energy to clear these two lines of resistance, as discussed earlier. It would make more sense in my opinion, and I don't know for sure, but I was saying it seems to me there might be a resistance around here, based on also what the S&P 500 looks like on its 4-hourly. But if you're playing the cryptos and any of the instruments are breaking out, buy the breakout, ask questions later, because the RSI is above 69.1 on the monthly. Again, if you own any of the cryptos and they are breaking out successfully, you can continue holding as long as the breakout is intact for your specific crypto, because the monthly RSIs continue to be strong for the entire crypto landscape as a group, as a sector of the market. Now, Ethereum on the weekly. I've been wondering all of this week whether this line here would end up being resistance. It's the line on the 2-hourly. Excuse me. What am I saying? This is a 2-year weekly chart. Weekly. And it connects, of course, the lows here and here, late 2019, early 2020. And since then, since the break right here, big move down, resistance. We went above it, back below it. That tends to be a trap for this reversal area. And you can see the possibility visually, possibility of resistance week to week here, which would suggest the next meaningful direction is down. Otherwise, the opportunity is there to take out this line and continue to fresh all-time highs. BTC on the weekly. Let's go to BTC on the weekly. I've been wondering all week whether this line, as discussed in the last market analysis video, I believe from a week or 2 weeks ago, that this line could be the line that stalls the crypto move higher right here. Week to week, if this ends up being a rejection line pointing down here, would mean that the next meaningful direction is down. To correct this, we would need to see prices move higher and the RSI jump above, yep, you guessed it, 69.1 on the weekly time frame. Remember, the last big move in Bitcoin was in this phase, and the weekly did move above that magic threshold of RSI 69.1. So again, I can see this line being an issue. This backtest line could be a little bit of a hindrance in the short term for BTC unless it can take it out. Which brings me to the last chart of this video, which is Doge. If this instrument is gonna explode, hence why I sent that breakout alert earlier today, it would need to stay above the monthly closing high from April. And based on whatever exchange you are using, the number is going to be at about 0.3381. It would need to break out and stay above that price if there's going to be an attack. And if prices are going to take out recent all-time highs, if not improve on them, it must break out successfully on the monthly, and the RSI needs to hold and stay above 69.1. Right now it's at 70, so the RSI is doing its best, but prices need to break out also if Dogecoin is to see some expanded, explosive run. A price breakout and the RSI maintaining its level above 69.1 can lead to this instrument seeing a substantial move higher. We're talking about taking out these highs here at lower 70s and moving into the $1, $2, $3, $4, $10 million price level with a breakout and the RSI remaining above 69.1, which brings me back to the weekly chart. To be consistent with the weekly charts discussed here, Bitcoin, Ethereum, the Canadian market, and so on. I can see week to week where we got this break of the RSI trend there. I can see this being an issue going forward, having responded to it here. This could end up being resistance area, and also respect the power of the market if it can clear this blue line. Resistance around here means that we are actually setting the stage for a reversal. And so it is. There is a quote for BTC. There is a quote for the January US markets, October 28th. This is also gonna be this quote-unquote weekend's market analysis video, as I will not be able to record a video for you guys as I usually do towards end of trading on a Friday. So consider this to be the weekend market analysis also. And so it is. I am Eric Mwade, and it is a tremendous joy to leave you as I found you, in the love and in the light of the one infinite Creator. Go forth, therefore, rejoicing in the power and in the peace of the one Creator. Adonai.